Hi Paula, hi Real Women of Philadelphia. My name is Janet McCarthy. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. Today I am making a rack of lamb with a rosemary velvet sauce. Now the sauce is the star of the show. It is out of this world. It has Philadelphia cream cheese, which makes it so wonderful. It's so smooth and creamy, and I just had to call it velvet rosemary sauce. So to begin with, I have 2 racks of lamb. The butcher actually cut them into 4 pieces, which is okay because I'm going to cook for 4 people. So I just want to salt and pepper these, and I'm going to put them into a pan that has 2 tablespoons of olive oil in it already, which I've heated, and I'm going to sear these. So my oil is hot in the pan, and I'm going to sear the lamb now. If you had 2 racks that weren't split, it would just look like this. 1, 2. Okay, so this has been searing for a couple of minutes, maybe 3. You see how brown that is? That's how we want it to look. And I even kind of stick them like standing up because I want all sides to be cooking. Or seared, I should say, kind of brown. So I'll do that for a minute or so. Okay, and then you're just gonna turn them completely over to make sure that other side gets cooked as well. Okay, the lamb is ready. I'm gonna turn that off. I have a clean surface to put the lamb on. And leave this the way it is because you're going to make the sauce in the same pan. Bring that over here. Now I've taken 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard and 2 tablespoons of honey. And what I'm going to do, I can paint it, but I like to use my hands. My hands are clean, I promise. I like to cook with my hands. I get the feel, I guess, of what I'm doing. So you're just going to kind of paint these pieces of lamb all over, both sides, with this Dijon honey mixture. Might not use all the mixture. And then I have 2 teaspoons of fresh minced garlic. And I just kind of splash that over there. I paint that on top as well. I love the flavor of garlic. Fresh garlic. You can't beat fresh garlic. You know what though? If you want to use garlic powder, that's fine too. It'll give it the flavor. And I turn it over. I just kind of make sure it's everywhere. And then I take 2 teaspoons of fresh minced rosemary. Kind of just sprinkle that on top. Rosemary and lamb go really, really well together. Then I grab some steak seasoning, drizzle that on top, sprinkle that on top, I should say. For some flavor, both sides. You've already salt and peppered these, so you don't have to worry about that. And then I take, it's about 1/4 to 1/2 of a cup of crushed pistachios. And I just sprinkle those on top. Now, if you don't like pistachios, use panko breadcrumbs. I have a brother-in-law that can't eat bread though, and this is where I came up with this. He has that celiac disease, and so I decided to use pistachios one day when I was making rack of lamb for him, one of his favorite dishes, and voila, we ended up loving it. Depending how much you like pistachios, that's probably how much you're going to sprinkle on. Then you just take some spray butter or olive oil, spray those just so the nuts adhere to the meat. Okay, so now you're going to take your pieces of lamb and place them on a baking sheet. I've actually put a rack on top of my baking sheet just to be sure that the lamb doesn't burn on the bottom. And we place this in a 425-degree oven for 20 minutes and bake it. And while I'm baking the lamb, I will make the sauce. Okay, the lamb is in the oven, and this is the same pan that we seared our lamb in. And now I'm going to add 1 stick of butter. I turned the heat on. And so we're going to melt that butter. Let that melt. I've melted my butter, and I am adding 8 button mushrooms, which I have put through a food processor. So they're really finely minced, but the flavor is wonderful, I think. Okay, now I have a minced shallot, 1 whole minced shallot that I've also used a food processor because that's just so easy. If you don't have one, just chop it up by hand. It's no big deal. And I'm going to let that cook for about 2-3 minutes. So this has cooked for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to add my garlic. I have 2 cloves of minced garlic. I add that at the end because I'm sure a lot of you know that it's going to get really bitter if it burns, so we don't want to put that in with everything else. And that's only going to cook for about 30 seconds. And then we are going to add a 1/2 cup of beef broth. And then a 1/2 cup of white wine. You can use Chardonnay. This is Sauvignon Blanc. I would use whatever you like to drink. Whichever you like the best, that's what you should put in your sauce. We're going to let that kind of just cook for about maybe 3 minutes or so. Okay, now I just have a teaspoon of beef bouillon that I've added for flavor. Now we are ready for the star of the show. I have an entire brick, 8-ounce brick of Philadelphia cream cheese. And I'm going to place that in there and just wait till it slowly melts and becomes like velvet. Okay, my sauce is really becoming what it's supposed to be, a velvety smooth, wonderful, delicious Philadelphia cream cheese rosemary sauce. I'm going to add a teaspoon of fresh rosemary at the very, very end because you usually add your herbs toward the end of the cooking. And this has been on medium heat, and I'm going to turn it low. It's pretty much ready. And you just kind of let it sit here until your lamb's ready. Okay, my timer has gone off. My lamb is ready to come out of the oven, and my sauce is still doing great just sitting there on the stove. So I'm going to pull that lamb out. Oh, it smells wonderful. The pistachios get a little crispy. I'm going to set it on a plate and tin it with foil. And as I said, I'm going to let this rest 8 to 10 minutes. So my lamb has rested and I have begun cutting it, and I just want you to see the way you cut the lamb. You hold it up and you just go between the bones with a sharp knife, and you just kind of glide it right down, and that's just going to cut like that. And lamb is meant to be rare, so to me this is absolutely perfect. It just looks so juicy and delicious. So the lamb is all cut up, and as I said, you can serve it on a large platter, or you can take an individual plate and serve your guests individually. So you take this most scrumptious sauce and you just ladle it right on a plate, and oh, it smells so darn good. And take about 4 pieces of lamb and just lay those right on top. You can sprinkle it with a little bit of your pistachio, or if you use breadcrumb, sprinkle it with your breadcrumb. And here's a little trick. I just stick a little piece of rosemary in a mushroom, just like this. Very easy, just for looks, on each plate. And that is by far one of the most wonderful things you will ever eat. And when you eat it, you're allowed to use your fingers. And you just dip it in this sauce that is so amazing. I'm going to have to taste it. Oh. If you serve this to your family or to guests, they are going to think they died and went to heaven. Enjoy. Bye, Paula.